Lovelies. Well, today I am going to make a recipe that I usually make about 5 times a week, and it is fulfilling. It keeps you satisfied. You believe you're eating more than you really are because it is packed with veggies, but it still has the carbolicious that you like, and that is vegetarian stir fry. So if you're interested, stay tuned. For the recipe, we're going to use assortment of vegetables that I cut up. Some celery, some mushrooms, some bell pepper, some green onion, some white onion, and also a little bit of jalapeno pepper, just a little bit. I have some bean sprout here, some brown rice, some vegetable broth. I have a little bit of soy sauce that I have left, and some garlic powder, onion powder, some oregano. And I also have some tofu. This is made by Nasoya, and I opened this up and I let it, I put it in the freezer, let it thaw out, patted it dry because tofu can be very wet, so you want to make sure you have it as dry as possible. And this is the cube one from Nasoya. This is good in your stir fry. You can use beans, but in the stir fry also, it's good to have some protein. So I got some tofu here, and I'm also going to use some of this stir fry seasoning from Sunbird. Very good in the stir. You're going to heat that up on a medium to high heat, and you're going to pour a cup of your vegetable broth. Here is Swanson vegetable broth. So this is good for vegetarians and vegans. Oops. Okay. And we're going to let this come to a steamy, not necessarily boil, but slightly boil. Steam coming from the broth. We're going to go ahead and put our vegetables. Oop, I'm making a mess. Put our vegetables in the broth. Here. And we're going to let that kind of simmer. And along with the broth, you're going to put 1 cup of water. And you're going to let those vegetables come to a softened boil. Okay, so we're going to let the vegetables cook. And once those, so I'm going to put 2 cups of water here. So it's 1 cup of broth and 2 cups of water. And that totally depends on how much vegetables. Now, I put a whole lot of vegetables in this recipe to cut down on the need for starch. Because I like my plate to look very full. And so I just put extra veggies so I won't have to pile it on, like I said, with rice and all of that. So we're going to let this come to a boil. And what I did was I went ahead and put about a teaspoon of olive oil. Turn this heat down just a little bit. For the tofu, as you can see, the vegetables are still cooking. And I put a teaspoon of this olive oil in the pan with the tofu. And I just got an ounce of tofu, not that much. We're just going to kind of fry this in the olive oil. Let that go ahead and get dicey. The good thing about tofu is that tofu is bland. It has no kind of flavor at all. So you can make it taste like what you want to make it taste like. You can use tofu to make burgers. You can use tofu for, to make it taste like chicken or wherever you want to make it taste like. So here we're going to use the olive oil, and what we're going to do is go ahead and put our bean sprout with the tofu. And let that go ahead and cook. And the tofu is just going to soak up all of the seasonings. Now you can marinate your tofu and it really will taste good because it's like a sponge. It just absorbs all of the seasonings that you put in your recipe. I love tofu. Now with the sunbird seasoning, we're going to use a teaspoon, but we're going to put half of it on the tofu itself, and then some in the rice. It's that nice, and I can just smell it. It smells so good. And if you have ever had fried bean sprout, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and egg foo young or in stir fry, it smells so good. It smells like a Chinese restaurant in here right now. Okay, so we're still waiting on our veggies here. And what we're going to do is go ahead and wait. Oh, this smells so delicious. We're going to go ahead and wait for these veggies to cook and let this kind of steam just a little bit up. And then so now here we have our rice. Now this is a half of a serving. This is 21 grams, so it's 1/4 of a cup dry. A full serving is 1/2 of a cup dry. So we're cutting down on the starch by using bean sprout. And we're going to go ahead and put that in our veggies, because it needs to boil for at least 10 minutes. And we're going to use a strainer to strain the extra broth and water out once the rice is done. Go ahead and plate it. See, I'm not really one of those cooks that's real fancy in my presentation a lot of the times. I just like it to taste good. This is how this smells really good. It smells very good. And this is how it turned out. That stir fry piping hot. And what I like to do is when you go to your Chinese restaurant, you get saltines. These are the fat-free saltines that I got at Kroger. I like to add a little saltines on the side and maybe some extra soy sauce. So this is our recipe, and it's vegetarian style stir fry. And so for all of the details, it will be in the description box, along with the calorie intake and the individual micros for the macros. All right, so get your veggies and eat well. This is LaShonda signing out saying I'm about to get nice and full of all these veggies, and my body, not my body, but my mind is going to be tricked to thinking I'm eating a lot of starches, but I'm really not. So, peace out.